What is going on, you guys? My name is Jess, and welcome to Original Budgets by Jess, where we simply budget happy. And in today's video, we will be closing out February of 2023 budget. So let's get started. So before we get started, I kind of wanted to go over a couple of things what happened in February. So a couple of highlights that I had for the month of February. It was my dad's 64th birthday, so we celebrated that going to a restaurant, and then we had a little bit of dessert. We had a Valentine's Day dance at the middle school that I work at, and that was a lot of fun. The next thing we also had was Valentine's Day, so I got to spend that time with my boyfriend Dennis, which was fun. JV sports. If you don't know, I am a volleyball coach and a workout coach and an office assistant at a middle school. So we had JV. It's like a league that we have at the school, and that was finished in February. Highlight that I had this month, you guys. So one of the 8th grade teachers, she follows me on Instagram of my budgeting page, and she asked would I want to teach the 8th graders about budgeting, because she's teaching a financial literacy class. And I think that's so cool. I wish I had that when I was in the 8th grade. But anyways, I told her yes. And then I was kind of apprehensive to do so, because if you never worked with kids, kids are very blunt and they are very honest if they like it or they don't like it. So I was kind of really nervous to kind of share what I know about budgeting, but you guys, it was an absolute success. I got to teach 2 classes about budgeting, and it was about, I want to say, 25 students per class, and they absolutely loved it. We had fun. I taught them about my budgeting process. They even took notes. I did a couple of games with them to kind of get them used to budgeting, and we just had such a blast. So I was very happy that I followed through on teaching the class. Before I get into my happy budget sheet, this is the sheet that is entitled Everything I Need to Know. So it fully lists out everything for the month, and then I just check off as I go. So it's kind of like pre-planning for each check. So a lot of people, when they're doing their expense trackers, they use the highlighter method. I have done that in the past, but I actually don't really like it. One, it's too many colors to deal with, and a lot of the time I was messing up for some reason, even though I labeled the highlighters, you guys. I labeled them, and I still messed up on my budgeting category. I don't know how, but it wasn't working for me. The next thing, I just didn't like all the colors on the sheet. It didn't look very clean and crisp to me. And then I couldn't really tell after a while what was I spending on what. So I decided to create this sheet and make small little charts per budget category. And it's a lot cleaner, in my opinion, and a lot easier to read. So I know this whole chart is groceries. This whole chart's gas, essentials, and home. And then same thing for this sheet and the sheet after that. And then I'm able to add them all up and then look if I was under or over budget. Now let's move on to the monthly recap. So this is my February monthly recap. This section, obviously, it's the bills, the fixed and unfixed bills. Then I have living expenses, debt, and sinking funds. So let's start off with the bills. So for the bills, I budgeted out $1,600, and the rent was actually $1,555.16. For investment is usually consistent because I'm the one that set this amount. It's $75. Empower, I budgeted out $90, but we actually only spent $80. The reason for that is I went to the ATM, and obviously they don't give certain bills, so I had to just take out $80. I round up in my budget because I don't like to deal with change because it's too much math for me. So I like to round everything up to the nearest dollar. So I always know I'll have a little bit of change left for my subscriptions. Then my phone bill, that phone bill gets paid to my mom, which is done and over with. And then QuickBooks and iCloud. I don't know what happened for February, but it didn't get taken out of my account. I did this month mess up, you guys. So what I do is I'm always a month ahead for my rent, and I split it up 2 checks, so it's a lot more manageable for me instead of having to have one big amount come out of one check. So the first check, I was good. I put it away in my small savings account. Then the second check, I would also put it away in that same account. But I forgot to move it to my checking account. And you guys, I had to pay a $35 overdraft fee, and then they took money out of my credit card as cash advance to cover the remaining balance. So it screwed up my whole credit card limit. It screwed over my checking account by paying fees. And I was like, Jessica, are you serious? Like, you know it's due on the 1st. What were you thinking? So my rent is auto pay, but I need to always move the money so it gets paid, and I didn't do it, you guys. So I'm changing up how I do my online banking, and that'll be in a different video of detail of how I'm going to be doing that, so that will not happen again. But sometimes you do screw up, and I did screw up for the month of February on that end. Moving on to the living expenses. So I have, as my categories for this month, I had groceries, gas, home, essentials, Jess/Dennis, as in parentheses fun, and then eating out, fun, and then miscellaneous. And then right here is the amount that I budget out for, and then this is the actual amount that I spent. The only category that I technically went over on was the home. We did need a lot of things for our apartment. We do live in a 1-bedroom apartment here in Arizona, so we needed a lot of things for that. So that's why we did go over, which is okay because it's an essential thing, and sometimes things are costing more, as you guys all know. So I guess I just got to do a little bit better at planning for that extra cost. Debt, I told you guys I did mess up with that account. So somehow the remaining balance was $155.74. Moving on to my sinking fund. So currently I'm really focusing on moving out of our apartment. So moving on up, that's what the category is entitled, to kind of give it a positive vibe that greater things are to come with our living situation. Because girl, this apartment complex, these people that run the apartment are absolutely terrible. But we won't bash on them too much. We'll just keep moving on with these sinking funds. The next thing are binders. I am starting to get into the groove of cash stuffing. Just for savings, I don't cash stuff for my living expenses. I use a card for living expenses. So binders are strictly for small little sinking funds that I'm saving for. So this is the starting balance before the month of February, and then this is the ending balance. It's not a lot. It's $390 and then $90 for the binders. It's not a lot, but it's definitely something, and I always say something's better than nothing. Now that we covered all of that, let's move into the last month versus this month sheet. All right, so this year for 2023, I really wanted to focus on closing out my budget. In previous years, I never closed out my budget, so therefore I never could tell how well my budget was working for me. So I told myself in 2023, we're going to be closing out budgets and comparing them month by month. So for this, we are comparing January 2023 versus February of 2023. So here are my living expenses, bills, sinking funds, and debt. This section is for last month. This section is for this month. And then this is the difference. And that goes for each section. I won't go into too detail of each one because I think that will be boring for you guys. But I'll do a couple of highlights. So for like home and Jess / Dennis, the reason why that's blank is because I didn't do a very good job of tracking my expenses. So that's why you don't have the comparison. But now I do have it for February. So when we do this for March, we can kind of compare on how we're doing. Groceries, I actually spent less on groceries in February than I did in January, which is interesting. For miscellaneous, we definitely spent a lot less in January. So in January, I was helping my brother with this project that we're doing. So that's why it's so high of an amount, which is $1,341.53. So we did spend a little bit more on essentials as well, which is interesting. And now moving on to bills. So my rent was different by only $6.65. And the reason for that is they make us pay for water. Water is not included in the rent. So the usage, it fluctuates depending on how Dennis and I are feeling about the water. So that's why you see a difference. And then pretty much everything else remains the same. Like I said, the difference is between cents. And I always round it up to the nearest cent, so I know I'll have a couple of cents left over in the bank. And then moving on to sinking funds, I don't have a comparison because I didn't save anything in January, but this is what I saved for February that we already went over. And then the only debts that I had was for February, and that was that credit card balance, and that was basically it. So just to recap, this has helped me out a lot. Even though I only have a comparison for 2 months, it has helped me out a lot in things that I need to fix. So I've been talking with my boyfriend on things that we can improve, and we've already made a plan of action to improve those things so we can meet our financial goals. So I'll get into that a little bit more in another video because I want to really show you guys the changes I'm making with my banking. So that concludes our February 2023 budget recap. So I appreciate you guys watching until the end. And I have a question for you guys before we go. So my question to you, would you rather receive $1 million today or $10 million 3 years from now? Let me know what you would choose in the comments down below. And always remember, be you, stay true, be Original Ink. I'll see you guys in the next video.